So I'm a designer myself and not a first time founder. So problems come when people are emotionally connected to their ideas. Because of that, they are not able to listen to the users or customers. And that's the first thing that we always have to keep in mind, that customer is the person for whom you started building in the first place.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Top of the Hunt. Today, we've got a product of the day with us. We've got our first interview with two co-founders at the same time, which makes things interesting. So today we have Yash and Varun from RealmApp. Would you like to introduce yourself, please, fellas?
Hi, Tarun. Hi, everyone. Happy to be here. Thanks for having us. I'm Yash, and Varun and I are co-founders of ReMap. We launched last week, and by the support of the community and everyone, we were number one product of the day. And also, apart from that, we were number one product of the day in Web3 category, as well as number two in the productivity category for the week. So it's been a great ride. We started working on the product a few months ago. Personally, I've been a crypto entrepreneur, so I've been in the crypto space for the past 6, 7 years. This idea was started as a crypto product 6 months ago, and from there we took the journey and realized that this is a product which anyone and everyone can use on a day-to-day basis. So REM, actually, what it does, it helps you manage your workspace and your daily task in a efficient and a better way by managing your bookmarks and tabs, and typically cuts down to 25 to 30 minutes of your daily work time. So it is a browser extension that becomes your homepage on the internet. So right now, when you start up your Chrome, your real estate is idle, like it's not being used. You just have 5 to 6 icons which you typically browse on a daily basis. So what we did is we created a wrapper, and now you can create preferential sites. Let's say you do a lot of you're working on 2 or 3 products. You're a SaaS indie maker. So what you can do is you can create different boards for different products.
Hello, everyone. So this is Varun. I'm also a co-founder for Realm. I've been into crypto space for almost 6, 7 years now. My expertise lies in product design and strategy. I have previously worked with the world's top three organizations in blockchain space. I was designer for Tether Foundation and Bitfinex. I also worked in the initial team of Anchor, and I am a computer science engineer by education.
So you've both got a lot of domain expertise in
Yeah.
the Web3 and all things crypto.
Yeah.
It's a space that I don't know if everybody's necessarily familiar with it. So, what's the general difference between normal web and Web3? How does that work for people who don't know?
So typically, Web3 is, I would say, more of an industry which is very radical in nature. It is very parallel to how the traditional industries are working. And it comes from a very specific mindset where innovations and new things are being appreciated. It does not go by rule books, and you have ample space in which you can experiment things, you can innovate on ideas, and you can build products not thinking by traditional standpoint or books whether what is right and what is wrong. You can focus purely on how you want to see the world and how you want the world to access things, and the whole community which is around Web3 supports things of that manner. And that gives a lot of people who are really into, let's say, art or tech, who want to basically disrupt new industries, are well appreciated here.
Okay, that's interesting. So, what type of things fall into Web3? So that obviously it's crypto. Is that the blockchain and NFTs and other things? Is that all under that same umbrella, or is there much of a difference in there?
Yeah, it all comes under same umbrella. Like, the foundational point is that everything is related to blockchain. And the reason we call it Web3 is Web2 is how the internet used to work, in which everybody knows that there is a server, there is a central server through which all the data access happens, the way network works. So in terms of technical terminologies, the network topology of Web2 is where you have one root node, and then rest of the network which is attached to it is attached to the root node. Whereas in Web3, there is no central node, or there is no central server. Every server or node is like a root node in itself, and that's why we call it decentralized. and it works
Mhm.
on a different mechanism of network topology, which we call as consensus mechanism, where the network decides and choose, and it's more like where the majority is, and that's what is accepted into the network, which is purely governance based and voting based. And that's what primarily Web3 is in its foundation. And that's the reason, because that whole voting system and everything can only function, like the whole network can only function with having a token or a crypto in the network,
Mhm.
which gives that ability to have control. So the whole umbrella always is somewhere connected always to the blockchain or the crypto.
Okay. So you've been working in this space for a while. You understand it. You've been building products and other services in and around it.
Yeah.
What was it that started the idea for RealmApp? Was it your own pains, or was it somebody said to you, "It would be really cool if we had this"?
Yeah, it is both ways. So as we mentioned before, that we have been into this space for more than 6 to 7 years, and
Mm.
a lot of things that we came across, which is like a pattern, is so we have been in crypto for more than 2 cycles now. So by one cycle, like there is like one bull cycle and one bear cycle. So like that, we have been part of more than 2 cycles now. And in last 7 years we have had these kind of common questions, that where do we get started for Web3, how I can enter that. And it's a question which is not for amateurs, even industry veterans who have been in space, or technologists or people in finance who have been in this space for more than like a decade or more than that, also face the same situation. Because by virtue, Web3 is so out of textbook, and you can't find data available on internet where you can draw reference points, because it's a technology that never existed. So you won't find references that existed in the past. For somebody to enter, it becomes really hard. And we were lucky enough to find our way through it, survive it. And it happens in every cycle that a lot of people jump in because of the hype, and then when the hype is gone, they basically shift from the market to what they were doing before. And we saw that nobody is still addressing that problem, so we thought that let's start building something for the community, where being there in the market, we understood that this problem is arising because a lot of information, or things that exist on internet, is essentially accumulated by marketers or interns, because there are very few people who understand the real stuff, and they don't have that much time to do it for the community. Now as the horizon is expanding more, so people are able to get that time to spend. And we also realized that we could spend in some time, because we have been builders in this space. And for new devs who are trying to enter, or like I'm a designer myself, so a designer who is looking to transition from web 2 to web 3 need to have access to data where they know that this is like at least the bricks, or like the initial steps to start. And also comes from a peer vetted source, where they know that okay, at least this information is right or trustable, otherwise you get disillusioned. Because primarily the concept is also so tech intense and hard to understand that people get overwhelmed and they get lost. We are able to simplify them and provide them that access. So that's how initially we started. And after the product hunt launch, we realized that people are able to relate this more with the productivity version of it. So now we are looking to basically bring more clarity on the narrative. Initially, bring the narrative down to a productivity tool, bring the Web3 library, etc., in the bookmark itself, and then slowly keep adding more widgets where it enables the Web3 ecosystem.
So I think if I was to talk to chat about where do I get started, it's
Yeah,
not going to be very useful because it's going to have taken content from websites that haven't really got a trusted expert giving advice on them.
yeah,
Get started, and it's like go and buy some Bitcoin. And it's just yeah, we all know you can buy Bitcoin.
yeah,
It doesn't really help me get started. So I can see where you've tried to address that problem there and how it's gone, and I can also see on the flip side that you've probably hit a bigger market than you first thought
yeah,
because obviously the crypto and the blockchain and all of those different places that people want to come and learn, I can imagine is a very small percentage of overall internet users.
Yeah.
So it's fantastic that you have went onto Product Hunt and stumbled upon a much bigger market.
Yeah.
Was that something you realized very quickly on the day that you hit a bigger market, or was it just halfway through you realized people were using your product in the wrong way?
Yeah, I think in the first 3 days itself, we realized, because we did not focus too much on how you can handle bookmarks and how you can use that for your productivity. But if
Yeah.
without being told, if people are able to understand that and keep using that, it's more like stats don't lie.
Mhm.
The usage data that we saw that almost 9,000 bookmarks were created in the first 3 days. And yeah, so we realized that this is flying. Like the initial drop rate was like less than 5%, and it's we have zero presence on social media right now. We did not start any marketing because this is like an alpha version which we wanted to ship it to initial 200
Mhm.
300 users and get their feedback. But we have been able to reach like 700 users already, and we are able to see that without any marketing, just like the customers speaking to other customers by word of mouth, we are able to expand like 25 to 30 users per day.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
I can see a few different use cases for it. I can imagine as perhaps a team leader when you're onboarding some new staff, you've got a pre-set up dashboard that, well,
Exactly.
where you could say, here, this is all the things that you need,
Yeah.
and instead of sending link by link. Do you know that it's very tedious, and I can imagine that's a long process.
Yeah.
And then obviously for individual people, I know our technical co-founder, he's often got like 1,000 tabs that he's left open,
Yeah.
and somehow he manages to navigate them fairly well. So it's like flicking through like a dictionary almost, how many he's going through, and he still manages to get on the right letter at least, and then a couple from there. So I can see him having value in it as well. And everybody knows, or everybody should know, if they're not a single marketer, we're often worse than developers, but we forget what these tabs are. And it'll be interesting to see how it unfolds when you start marketing out into the world and taking it from there. So for the product itself, you've said it's a wrapper. So would that mean I could choose a search engine to work with it?
Yeah.
So if I like Chrome, I can still use Chrome, but then I've just got a default homepage
Yeah.
that's better than Chrome.
Yeah, exactly.
No, that's fantastic. Yeah.
And also one of the things, because like we have always been working remote, and like we always tend to basically try to work like as efficient as possible,
Hmm.
and like being able to focus or declutter is something a lot of people have issues with. And one of the reasons with that is, like, I realized that is when you don't clearly know what you want to do, that's where you get lost. So most of the time when your homepage is not set according to how you function, you always open the browser and then you get lost in the loop where you open something and then you're reading that and then you just basically start browsing. Whereas like when your homepage is customized or designed according to how you function every day, you basically don't get lost most of the time. And it's as soon as you open your browser or a new tab, you immediately know that okay, these are the five things I always do, and you tend to start opening only things that matters to you.
So that's where you're leading into more of the productivity side.
Yeah.
So with the requirements for the productivity first users, are you going to need to be changing the product much? Are you going to be offering many more different features and functionalities to it?
Yeah, so we are adding like two more functionalities that would enable the productivity purpose. Also, it enhance the productivity version of whatever exists in the market right now, and also open up the Web3 perspective that we were looking to do without adding any other new widget with the bookmark itself. So one thing is that we are shipping the mobile app within this month itself, like not this month, where
Mhm.
now you can also start having cross device sync, where you just don't need to have this on your browser homepage, but you can access the bookmarks on your phone app. A lot of people use social media like Instagram or Pinterest, and whatever you're browsing there, you can right click and save or add to Realm. In browsers, same there. You can just click on the share button of your operating system, and it will give you an option add to Realm, and you can add instantly from there itself, and you can have that curation being accessible in both of the places. And As you mentioned about your team, we are enabling collaboration mode
Mhm.
where you can have the bookmark widget share access with your fellow friends and coworkers, and you can have that sync from all the coworkers where you are creating the same curation without creating duplicate data. And then we're also opening a library where you can publish the list of bookmarks that you have curated and people can access them. So very basic example is I use, let's say, design tools, right? Or else I use design inspirations and I have 15 websites which are design inspirations. I can just publish that bookmark with a title and anybody can basically access that. So the ability to access relevant information without a search will also come, and this is something that nobody is offering in the market, and this will enable us a lot of resources even for web3. So for example, there could be a bookmark list where top influential people to follow, and you can basically
Yeah.
attach that and you can go and follow 15, 20, 25 people. You can have 10 media sites to get crypto news as a bookmark list, and there's going to be a lot of list that initially we will curate, and it's open for public also where you can publish and then eventually it will come to crowdsource data.
There's somebody I had on the podcast a little while ago called Yanis.
Hmm.
He'd been working in the creator economy for a long time,
Hmm.
and he said he had over 1,000 bookmarks,
Yeah,
and he turned it into a tool and a free download for people. So he might be interested in being one of your first people to come along with his bookmarks from the creator economy
exactly.
and put them all in for you. He was very interested in keeping his offering free because he said that there's people around the world where they couldn't always afford
Yeah,
to pay anything or very much. So he said, I'll keep it free, and then if people want to pay, they can pay.
yeah,
I hope that part works out well and it helps a lot of people who are new to a space. For example, if somebody comes to Product Hunt, you can say,
exactly.
these are all of the groups that we use, these are all the people we follow, these are all the things that we done. And then automatically you've got a dashboard open that's
Yes.
all of the places you need to go. But I suppose from there, that might be quite complicated for some people. When you first open, if there was 1,000 links, so are you going to use like AI or anything to help curate them? Is that going to be
Yeah.
part of the offer in the future? So like
Yeah.
I download 1,000 links and I'm like, this is fantastic, but where do I start? What would people do?
Yeah, so we are enabling the search, and as you mentioned, so eventually it will be categorized by AI, where according to your usage metrics and your pre-curated bookmark lists, any new thing that you add, you will have the option to basically either custom add it to your any list, or the AI will automatically add it according to the lists that you have curated in which category it falls. And the same goes for search, just like how you ask ChatGPT, you can have your custom context based search, and let's say you have 1,000 bookmarks, it becomes very hard to remember what you saved when and what's the context. But with AI coming to picture now, it's very easy to access such kind of things which is more context based.
We mentioned user data, so would that be I install your bookmarks and then in there I would know that you spend the majority of your time on these three spaces? Is that how that would work?
Yeah, yeah,
That's incredible because you then be able to say you'd then I suppose be able to track your productivity versus somebody else's, wouldn't you?
yeah.
It's an interesting way of doing it.
Yeah.
So from there, is it
We're
going to be
also
game
looking to basically enable karma points,
right?
where you publish something and how it is being used by people. We can also later incentivize creators and how the community is able to use the tool and help other people as part of community. So yeah, that is also we are looking to enable.
So back to Product Hunt for a little bit. You came first. Was that your expectation when you started, or were you just hoping for a top 10?
No, that was not the expectation. We were hoping for top 10 or top 5, but yeah, it's really wonderful to be the top.
Yeah, so you mentioned you've not really done much marketing. So did you market at all your launch, or did you just put it out there and people fairy tale took it up and started using it?
So we did reach out. We did not do everything everywhere. From day one, like we had clarity about what kind of user base is going to be there, what kind of user base understands the value of time and effort and is basically struck. From day one, we wanted to cater to such kind of users. Now, more indie makers or more experienced people who are working for multiple things, doing their own stuff, and they have different workflows and they understand the value of time. So we basically try to initially get the exposure around such communities, and that's the only thing that we did. Go and try to be visible in those communities around the launch and take initial feedbacks, and basically that worked.
I think because some of the people I've spoken to started their campaign 30, 60, sometimes 90 days before they got their product launch. And some of them have done incredibly well with small teams, and
Yeah.
others have perhaps not done as well as they'd hoped. But if you've used a product led marketing for a product hunt launch, it is quite an interesting success story because it doesn't usually go quite as viral where people are sharing it perhaps the way they've done it for you. So well done, and I think it's perhaps a good testament to an early indication of like a product market fit, as it were.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. So is Product Hunt now something that's part of your long term strategy? You're going to keep coming back?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think with the mobile app, we are going to do the relaunch with
Mm.
a good amount of like at least 2 weeks of preparation time, because the initial idea was to get the hypothesis of the product strategy that we had to test out. And now once we have the clarity, then nailing it down to the exact customer base or the user base is going to be very effective. And that's what we'll do with at least 2 3 weeks preparation and do a new relaunch of the beta version with the exact narrative that people have been looking for, better clarity, and the learnings from now.
So, from the launch itself, have you had a lot of people sign up and use the tool, or was it people in the real estate, in the car trade, like a tire kicker who just comes along and has a look and then doesn't really use it?
So the stats have been interesting. On the launch day, around 200 people or 250 people tried the product, in which 100 stayed, 150 got dropped off on the first day. But the interesting fact is that 3 days later, they came back again. In the first week, we got around 390 users, and the ones who were using the app were somewhere around like 379. So there were like hardly 11 users who had dropped, who had done the installation. And maybe the reason for that is once you start using, initially it might look different because people are not used to that interface for some people. But once you go back to your previous state, you realize, no, that was the better efficient state, and then you come back.
That makes sense. And perhaps those 11 people were competitors who went away and they felt like they were chewing wasps. They've marketed well, and now I'm upset because people are using it. It'd be interesting to find out who they were because it's a very small percentage
Yeah.
to have not came back. But it's interesting because I know a lot of people that have said their users throughout the week have perhaps not been what they'd expected. But I think that it's the indication of the day you choose to launch on. There's more people who are actually coming on to use products as opposed to people who are coming to keep their streak alive, as it were, on the weekend.
Basically, not to overthink and go and try it. And if it works, basically it works. If it doesn't work, you get to know that why it doesn't work, and then you can rework on it again. So for us, it was, I think, just a 2 day prep to do this. And we had very clear expectations that it's going to go terrible, but it turned out to be terribly well.
Yeah.
So that is something I think a lot of people try to basically find out hacks and find out ways that you can do it fast, but technically there is no one way. It's very depend on how market reacts when, and like the best way to do it is basically just go and try
Yeah,
it
no,
out in the market.
definitely. It's. I think as if there was a hack to life, some people would take it and some people wouldn't, and that same mentality gets
Yeah.
applied to everything they do. And at the end of the day, you're launching a product into the world. If you don't have real users testing it who want to use your product, then you're in a position where you're wasting
Yeah.
your own time and you're filling yourself full with a lie of, yes, we got 300 users to our platform who all used it. One day we got 300 upvotes, and then the next day you've got 30 users
Yeah.
come back, and it's because it wasn't a good fit for them, and you've wasted everybody's time. So it's fantastic that's happened for you.
Mm.
So From there, are going to many other places with a version of this now? Are you going to be on like AppSumos and other things, or are you looking to go down the organic growth route?
So we are looking to go down the organic growth route because, as I mentioned, the whole idea is to go through value proposition cycle. If we are able to generate value for like 2,000, 3,000 customers who are in dire need of something of this type, then automatically the cycle and funnel will kick off.
Mhm.
And if we are able to do, I believe that we can do that. The only way to go full blown when you don't know how to do it. And you have found the path, I think,
So, is there a paid version of the app? Is there one coming soon?
is like completely free. The paid version is going to come down later, but it's going to come with features essentially for teams or like for people who need like
Mhm.
much more accessibility.
So I suppose it's one of the companies that comes to mind a little bit is the way Trello, when they launched, they done something similar. So they had some paid
Yeah.
features that you were able to access should you share with certain people. That might be something.
Yeah. So for us, more about like the collaboration would require a pro, things like that, where like it does not hamper your day-to-day productivity, but it just is like 10x
Yeah,
version of your productivity.
it makes a lot of sense in it. I think you've got a good sense of the direction moving forward, and you understand who your customers are. You've came to understand who your new customers are very quickly. So it's a unintentional, perhaps, pivot of target audience, but the product sounds fundamentally the same thing. So it's at least it's not hit you like a frying pan and then we thought we were doing this and then all of a sudden it's like this. So you get to keep the tools going in the same direction. That's great.
Yeah, and
What
it
would you
integrates well with your daily basis. Sorry, yeah, it integrates well with your daily activities, what you do. Especially anyone and everyone right now spends 8 to 10 hours on the internet, and your gateway is your browser. So you inherently start up your browser, you go to tabs, and you see a RAM and you see a board that's ready for you. You have put everything that you need for your daily needs or for your productive needs or specific needs. So boom, it makes it easier for you as well. So yeah, it blends well.
So on the basis of that, if the average user spends 8 hours a day on the internet, which I think would perhaps be conservative, I know loads of people spend a lot longer than that, but I suppose some people don't go on at all very much. How much time do you think they would save from using the Realm app?
So I think on an average, so we were able to track with the present users data and with our data that at least 25 to 45 minutes per day is the minimum save.
That's close to an hour per day, realistically. So
Yeah.
an hour per
Yeah.
day. When you said the for a business case, the economic value of saving an hour per
Yeah.
day per team member, it could be quite a drastic saving, especially if you're
Yeah.
talking about developers and other people who've got high hourly rates. It's I can imagine it making a massive difference for them. So yeah, it
Yeah,
makes a lot of
exactly.
sense the ways are going, and I hope it goes well and you're able to get a lot of teams on. Will they be able to have more functionalities in due time? So like they can track things in the dashboard themselves or
I think we did not think that far till now. The way we are approaching is whatever feedbacks we
yeah.
got till now, shoot that and like reach like 3K to 10K user base, and it's like drive the community with at least
Mm-hmm.
like bi-weekly calls, take feedbacks, and according to them we'll understand that how we can
Mm-hmm.
drive more value to them, and that's how it will grow rather than
Okay.
us thinking too much of what is needed. We'll basically observe the users and start giving them where things could be improvised for them. Iteration is going to be more like
Okay,
that.
and that, it's good user open mind. I think sometimes founders get in the head that they've got obviously the first day you pick up a keyboard to start writing the code. This is the product we want to make, and then your grand vision and your dreams
Yeah.
developed from there. And then all of a sudden you start looking and you think, hang on a minute, the product we were making now is nothing like what we started. I'm sad and I want to go back. Or worse,
Yeah.
they'll think, no, we're going to stick to the plan and we're not going to introduce
Yeah.
these features, and then all of a sudden the market says, well, we're almost interested, but if you just done this one thing and then they didn't do it, so they lost out. It's good.
So I'm a designer myself and not a first time founder. So problems come when people are emotionally connected to their ideas. Because of that, they are not able to listen to the users or customers. And that's the first thing that we always have to keep in mind, that customer is the person for whom you started building in the first place. And if the customer says, I want something else, you need
Yeah,
to
no,
give them
of course.
something
It's
else.
there's a saying that the customer's always right. It might not always be strictly speaking true, but you know what they say they want fundamentally. If you
Yeah.
don't deliver it, if there's enough of them, then you're missing out on a big opportunity, aren't you? So from there, obviously, you've got a lot of experience in your space and working from a lot of companies and a lot of different tech projects. And as you say, you've been a founder before. So I think that there's a few things that would be interesting for people. One would be, what would your key advice be to yourself when you first started? Flipping that round to somebody who's brand new to the space. The next thing would be for Product Hunt, what would you do differently? Should you be going again? So if you don't mind starting with, what would both of your advices be to somebody who's brand new today looking to start a business?
Sure. I think I missed saying this before. I've started a few companies before. A few of them were into services, consultancies, and a product company as well. I'd say that my suggestion would be to start, just to start, not to think about it, not to worry too much about if the product is early or if the product is not ready. Whatever you have on your hands, whatever, if it's just one feature, ship it, take feedback, and be shameless about reaching out to people. Reach out to people, do cold DMs. It always works. Just be very specific and be specific in your ask. People do appreciate that. Don't mince your words. Don't say that this is going to change your life. Just tell them this is what it does and this is how it's going to help you. And I'm sure, like, if it interests them, they will definitely be in touch. So that's always worked for me. That's always worked for people I know, people I admire. So that is one suggestion that I have when I started 6 7 years earlier. And apart from that, for the product hunt launch, I would say what we do differently this time is probably we'll also have a sign up page, have some more people sign up or sign up for the notifications when we launch, and then reach out to more people in advance. Maybe the day we did reach out to some people apart from the communities we engaged with. But if done properly, Product Hunt can be a great platform to get some early users. Especially the users are great in the sense that they understand that early products have some flaws in them. But again, if the idea is good, they would be happy to try it. And we've seen like people generating revenues on day one, getting lifetime subscriptions sold out, or even annual subscriptions being sold for these SaaS products. So yeah, these platforms are great, and I think internet and Web3, especially today, these are great levelers wherever you are sitting in the world, irrespective of the geography, irrespective of what you have nearby you. If you have internet, if you have a laptop, and if you have the right intent, you can be making money. You can change your life. You can create great impact, not just monetarily, but in every possible sense. So yeah, that's my 2 cents.
It's wonderful advice. You've got a lot to follow now, Varun. You need to make it more insightful.
Yeah, I think for first time founders, my advice would be primarily be honest with
Mm-hmm.
yourself and with your customers. A lot of word out in the market is
Yeah.
like fake it until you make it. I think that that's not the right approach. If you fake it, you will start faking it for yourself and you will never figure out the real way. If you're honest and you have acceptance about what you can do and what you cannot do, you will then be able to figure out ways in which how you can do. And second is wishful thinking. I think people should avoid wishful thinking and rely on some magic to happen, because that's when you will figure out the right path where you can have calculation to like what steps you should take or what you can do, and then you will be realistic. On the product hunt side, it's similar to what Yash said. Reach out to more communities or have a better wait list or sign up prepared. That helps definitely, and have like more engagement inside the product hunt
Yeah,
community also.
I suppose because the thing is for your product is some of the products that are released can't really be applicable to everybody, and in one way, shape, or form, anybody who's ever
Yeah.
had too many tabs open and not enough bookmarks could feasibly look at your tool and say, "Do you know
Yeah.
what? This could work for me." They might be a light user and they might never turn into a subscribed user or anything, but I suppose that they always could. So it's useful from that perspective. You know that worst case scenario, this person might not be interested in giving us an
Yeah.
upvote, but we know if they spend 30 minutes on the tool, then in 3 days' time, they're going to be back and they're going to be then saying to us, yeah, actually, lads, I like this. It's good.
Yeah.
Thank you for the advice. From there, is there anything else either of you would like to add or discuss?
No, I think like I'm good from my side.
Yeah, I think we had a great conversation, so there's nothing else to add. Looking
Oh,
forward to
that's
the
wonderful.
journey.
Yeah, I think it'll be an interesting one for you both. It's very fast growing and it's been relatively organic. I know Product Hunt been organic because you've got to put some work in and outreach and other things, but Your word of mouth has been fantastic. If you wouldn't mind, perhaps in about 6 months' time, when you've had the app out and you're further down the road, we can have you back on, one or both of you, if you like again, and we can have a discussion about the long tail effects of Product Hunt, how things have gone on, and how you've improved the product based on everything that you've heard and seen from your customers. I think it'd be very interesting to speak to you both again.
Definitely for us also for the
Wonderful, thank
community.
you. So we'll wrap it up there, and I thank you both for your time, and I hope you have a wonderful day, and I look forward to speaking to you both again soon.
Thanks a lot for having us too, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Tyron. Really appreciate it. Looking forward.
Thank you for coming.